So welcome back to another video on my cheap VW Lupo. This week we're going to be tackling some of the bigger jobs to try and get this thing through an MOT and back on the road. In the previous videos you'll have seen me tackle some of the smaller jobs like the wiper linkage, engine management light and a few other bits. If you haven't checked out the previous videos, go back and have a look. But in this video we're going to be taking on some of the bigger mechanical things such as the brakes and the stiff gear linkage and maybe a few other bits along the way. So let me show you what we're working with. Now nice and clean compared to the last time I showed you this, but it's quite a common problem on these cars where it gets very stiff and it requires quite a lot of force to change gear. So I've already tried pulling up the gator and squirting in some, release spray, WD-40, and generally lubing things up from there. The problem is not up there, it is down there in the actual shifter mechanism. So we're gonna have to jack the car up, get underneath, take that off, take out the release pin and grease that up, and maybe just rub it back with a bit of emery paper or a bit of fine grit sandpaper just to get everything nice and smooth. So we got some rusty ass brakes, front and rear. They were grinding like hell when I drove the car home. I mean, they might be alright with a bit of loosening up and a bit of driving, but I need to get it through an MOT so that I can get it sold. So we ain't got time for that. I've ordered front and rear pads and discs. We're going to change those. But I've encountered a problem. I've realised there is a locking wheel bolt on both front wheels. Not on the rears, just on the front. So I'm going to have to see if I can smash a socket over that and get it off, because I do not have the locking wheel key. Okay, so after trying a bunch of different sockets, I've managed to get one to fit. Just gonna go ahead, click the breaker bar in, see if we can get it to turn. Almost. So, after changing sockets a few times and battering the crap out of it, the locking bolt is out. Might struggle to get it out of the socket, and I have done a bit of damage to the alloy wheel, but it's out. So the locking wheel bolt totally chewed up. Luckily not that much damage to my socket, so we're going to go ahead and do the other side now. So with both the locking bolts off now, it's time to get the car in the air, get that wheel off, start taking off the old pads and discs and put it on the new ones. While I was under there, I realised that the car is absolutely filthy underneath. So when it comes to the actually doing the cleaning, I'm going to have to give this thing a really good clean, maybe get the wheels off or even take it for an underwash, but it is absolutely filthy under there and it needs sorted out ASAP. Okay, quick update. The car is now back on the ground, all the wheels are back on, and the new pads and discs are on. Obviously that has taken me a very long time to do the front ones. One, I've never changed a set of brakes in my life. This is the first set I've ever done on my own. Two, with everything I do, everything is rusty and old and seized, and I'm always using the wrong tools, so there was a lot of stop and starting on this one. I've also been out during the middle of this job and got some new bolts, one for each side, to replace the locking bolts that I had to break off. So all wheels have now got 4 studs, as they should. So time to crack on with the rears. Hopefully I get it done before it's dark. So as per usual, I've got more problems. Not only is at least one of the rear coil springs snapped, so I'm gonna have to work out what coil springs they are, and replace that. The battery has finally given up the ghost, so I've had 3 crap batteries that keep draining down, and I've just been charging them, and every time I needed to start the car, I've just put a new one in. But now pretty much none of them are starting the car, so they've all finally given up, so got to get a new battery. Also, there's been this clicking sound in the car. Lupos, apparently, don't know if you can hear it. So it comes from within the dash. The hazard light relay, apparently. Luckily, I've got the part to do that, so we're going to do that now. Okay, so just change the relay, and it is still, as you can hear, ticking. So that has not fixed the problem, which proves, don't believe everything you read online. I've dug further into it, and apparently it is the indicator stalk or fuse down in the fuse box. So I'm going to check the fuse box, and it's probably not that, and I'm going to go ahead and order an indicator stalk to see if that fixes the problem. Okay, so with the dash back together, it's time to start stripping the steering column so that I can get that indicator switch out and fix this annoying clicking sound. Okay, moment of truth time. Everything is back on and buttoned up. The battery's back on. Let's start her up and see if we get any noises. Hazards are working. Clicking stops. Success! Woo! I fixed something! So I didn't get most of that on video because that was a bit of a long process. I got some help from my dad, but I got the spring out. There was a bent bolt that we had to rebend to get it back through the bottom of that strut. But look at the state of that spring. Not 1, not 2, but 3 pieces. Ugh. So I didn't really film much of me changing the rear springs because it was a bit of a faff, and I just wanted to get them on so I could get the car back on the ground and see how much lower this is sitting, because these new springs are lower by about 50 mil, I think, all round. So as you can see, the car is sitting quite a bit lower, but we'll come back to sort that out in a bit. For now, let's crack on with the door lock that's been sticking. So I did something a bit brave, maybe stupid, but it was brave. I'm calling it brave anyway. Stuck the key in, got a pair of pliers, held it right up tight on the metal, and just twisted it. Took a bit of a gamble in case the key snapped, but it turned, and the mechanism now moves. So I'm going to keep spraying it just to make sure it's nice and loose. I'll put it back together later on. That is fixed. So before I actually put the window back together, just thought I would show you why the passenger side window switch wasn't working. This thing actually fell out. I've now lost the 2 little metal discs. Oh, there's one on the floor there. Can't seem to find the other one. but it's all really heavily corroded. You know, that's totally knackered. And that is probably from, well, most likely from where the door was wedged open when it was recovered by the DVLA and all the water's come in. So I'll probably just go ahead and order a new set of switches just to make sure that's working for the next owner. Maybe we'll do that in another video, but otherwise let's get this door back together. So that was a very sucky video of me putting the door back together. That was so difficult. When them clips are broken, that is not an easy thing to do. Although I did put something in the wrong place, so that was partly my fault, but we live and we learn. But the door's temporarily back together until I get a new window switch, and obviously I'll take it apart and put that on. But otherwise, that's another job fixed, but also another job to do. Always the way with this car. So, a bit of a nightmare getting this thing in the air. The ramps I bought were too steep for the lowered front end, so I had to get some wood, put it onto the ramp, and now we got the car in the air. High enough for me to climb under there. That linkage just there. So, let's give this a go. Okay, so I fixed a few problems, but we are ending this video there on a whole new set of problems. So let me walk you through what happened. When I got under the car to take off the gear shift mechanism to try and fix the stiff gear shift, I realized that the gearbox is actually leaking oil through the shift rod shaft seal? Shift rod shaft seal? I think that's what it's called. Anyway, it's leaking oil through there. So I don't know at this time how bad or not of that a problem that is. But it is leaking gearbox oil, which means it's not going to pass an MOT unless that gets fixed. Don't know whether or not I can change that. Don't know whether I have to take the gearbox out. Like, I literally have no idea at this point. Also, while I was under there, I realised that the exhaust has got a hole in it. And when the engine is on, it makes a squeaking sound because one of the actual exhaust hanger arms is snapped or broken. So I'm either going to need a new exhaust or the exhaust is going to need welding. Also, while I was under there and I was getting it off the ramps, I realised that the front springs are also snapped. So you saw the state of the snapped rear springs, but the front springs are also snapped. The front shocks are also not shocks, or not shocking. I don't know, they're dead. They are dead. And the top mounts are gone as well. So we need whole new front suspension, possibly a new exhaust, a gearbox oil leak fix, and as I was testing this car out, giving it a little drive around, those rear springs I fitted have lowered the car so much that the wheels now catch the arches. So we're going to need to look at that as well. And as you saw when I took the door apart, these switches no longer work. So that's also a job. So the question is now, am I in too deep? Do I spend the money? Do I fix these things? Do I carry on, or do I cut my losses and run? So let me know in the comments what you think. Should I double down and fix everything? Should I cut my losses and run, or is there a third way? Can I do this on the cheap? Let me know in the comments what you think. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm sorry to end it on a sad note, possibly sad note, I don't know, but either way, thanks for watching and I'll give you an update in the next video.